Right, it looks like everything seems to be working. I just check audio.
Right, it looks like you.
Right, that seems to be working. Don't need the chat overlay. I've just been talking with the people who run this just to iron out a few kinks. I changed what I was using. And we seem to have everything working now. So that person chatting with the red icon is them. Right. If anyone's watching this, feel free to let me know you're there. This is the pink walk I photographed. I've been playing around editing some of that just before. What I do is, hang on a minute. All my photographs go into one folder. I then create these other folders here, not used, edited, and uploaded, just for my own convenience. That's just my way of doing it. But what I do is, in the case of the ethnic football, for instance, I'll just pick something else to add in. Interesting photograph. That one will do me. Just a random photograph. Just make sure I don't double up. Don't want that one. I'll mark it, the ones I don't want, with an X. I've got a default collection of, for now, the default collection is the Ethnic Football Festival. You can tell by the fact that it's got a little plus sign. So for my own convenience, what I do is any of the images I want to edit, because I'm not going to do a whole big long stream of them at once. So I break it down into, in this case, it's about 32 left in here in that collection. Press B to add it. Normally I'd press P first as a pick, so I know what I've picked. Go into the collection. That way, what I'm actually editing is just what's in this strip here. In other words, it's just the collection. So it's just a small bunch of now 33 photos compared to a total of what, 80, 99, 89, whatever left, 88 left. That way I can break it down into small chunks. Also, when I'm doing the hockey, I'm often got multiple games, and by doing that, I can keep my editing down. I can pick a few photographs from each of the games to edit, rather than doing just one game at a time. post the link. I wonder if I can share. I should be able to share this. Share this direct to Facebook. Yeah, that shares the link direct to Facebook. Right. Just checking to make sure everything's going smoothly. I have no idea whether anyone's actually watching this or not, but whatever. Now, I think I've done, now that I've gone to this collection down here, what I tend to do is edit a bunch of these before sending them through to Photoshop, because when I send them through to Photoshop, I'm also moving the file around. So I've already edited this to some degree. Have I selected the do? No. This one's reasonably bright. What I tend to do is look at one like this before I crop it and go, do I want that one edited much the same? And my guess is probably yes. So I can hit previous and see what it looks like. No, it's a bit darker. So I can bump that. And this is where some of the bits happen. You can speed up in Lightroom because that's reasonably dark. So if I hit previous, all of these seem to be about the same exposure. So the fastest way to do first chunk of editing is to select the first one, go along to roughly the last one in this batch I'm going to do, hit sync, make sure crop is not included. Normally I would choose masking, but there's no masking happening here. Let it do its thing. Come back to here, quick check. They all seem nice and bright. It's a bright day, so that one's, yeah, the background's a bit dark, but we'll worry about that later. So all these ones here, up and to, but not including that one there, all seem around the right brightness. So now I can focus on cropping. Keep in mind, the way I do this is because I'm processing so many photographs. Normally it's more than 88, normally talking quite a few. You might do this slightly different if you were, I use these lines here compared to the goals, because the goal post, upright goal post, is always going to be consistent in its straightness. The top one will depend on the angle I'm at, because it's basic perspective. And so on the hockey field, anything like this, that top one might be at a bit of a slope if I'm at an angle, and which I am because I'm standing off to the sideline. But the upright posts, will always be something I can use to do my alignment. Yeah, if you're editing individual photographs, you've done it like bird photographs or something like that, where you haven't got lots to edit, you may go through this process a little bit differently. This process I'm using here is aimed at editing lots of photographs. It will work for anything else as well, but it's leveraging the capabilities of Lightroom, which, just like I showed before, where I synced a whole lot of photographs. I didn't edit to one, then sync that across a bunch, or you could use the previous button. That just speeds up the whole process. And instead of going backwards and forwards from Lightroom to Photoshop, I sit in here for probably from this picture here down to this picture down here. I will sit in Lightroom and do what I need to in Lightroom first. Then I'll flick across to sending them to Photoshop. These ones pretty much don't need any extra attention on individuals. There's one coming up that will do, but these don't. Because that last one there has got these two and these two in it, and because these are a sequence of shots, and normally I only keep one out of a burst or sequence, I kept a couple of them because it was an interesting play. And in this case, when I come to crop this one, I will do a square crop or something like that. I'm coming quite tight on these two guys this time. So effectively, I get that, then that. Just make sure that one's not dead straight. This one here, clearly there's quite a few participants here, so it's all to taste. Well, taste and what you may have promised someone. In this case, I personally feel that that's better because this guy's interacting with the ball, this guy's interacting, this guy's interacting. If I was to do a square crop, yes, I'd put the focus on just what these two are doing, but I just like it this way. This one, for instance, first thing, often I drag in from where I first want to get rid of something, in this case, that leg. Then I'll drag in here until one of the, to either top or bottom are in the right place. In this case, they both happen to be at the same time. Normally that doesn't happen. This one here, for instance, that's about where I think I want the right-hand side. The reason I'm not square cropping this is because when I get to about there and shift that just a little bit, I've got a nice, him and the ball are moving into a bit of open space. He's chasing him. He's got a nice angle towards that corner. Now, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you can get rid of the flag," but there's no point. It's part of sports photography. It's part of the image. While I'm not doing these for newsprint publication, I've just noticed there's been a tree, so I'll crop this in just a fraction more because it doesn't matter if I crop it in a bit tighter. Instead of going and having, if I definitely didn't want to crop in any tighter, I'd go and remove it, bit of tree. But I'm not editing these for a newspaper or anything like that. So I can do a lot more than your standard journalist photographer would do, who would just be cropping, adjusting the lighting, and that's pretty much it. So I could technically remove this flag, but I don't want to because there's no benefit. There's other stuff in the background because it's outdoors in a paddock. So there is no advantage in messing around getting rid of that. If there's a bit of rubbish on the field, I might get rid of it. But see, in this one here, the ball's over here. He's looking there. He is blocking him from getting to the ball. So I'll pull in from the right. Just adjust that a little bit. And I will leave it like that. I personally quite like that. This one here, the focus, the attention is here. Yes, there's a bit of attention from this guy, but because his foot crosses this guy's foot and I haven't got all of this guy in the frame, there is no advantage keeping these guys in the frame. So, but I will probably do that as a square crop as well, just because, and again, use that tree as a bit of a guide as to what's upright. Move that into there. Right. I could probably go in tighter, but I don't really want to, don't really need to. There's no great benefit. Back in the past, one used to do square crops for Instagram. Now you don't need to worry about it too much, but still, I do like to put square crops up as much as possible. Now this one here, I got two options. I could leave it like that, and it doesn't look too bad, or I could try and see what it looks like if I go. See, if I go in any further, that's going to crop the top. So putting this guy up that's on the right almost out of frame, I think works best. He's leaving the frame but watching what's going on. Presumably he's planning on where he's going to have to move to. The ball's over here. These two have got their eye on the ball. I'm assuming this guy is trying to get to the ball, and he's trying to stop him getting to the ball. This here, we've got another mix it up, and the refs in this. So refs don't often get photographs, so it's quite good to have a photograph with the ref in. I can't come in too far from the right because otherwise I don't want the bottom to get too close to the ball, because no one wants that if they can avoid it. I can come down a bit closer to the ref's head. I could try that. The key thing here is I've got rid of these white bits where the branches from this tree branch off so they don't become distracting. So that works. Would have liked a little bit more room at the bottom, but yeah. And in pictures like this, got a bit of room at the top. I've got this white box thing over here. So while it's not a big deal, and I could technically edit that out if I really needed to, I'm going to see what cropping will do. And fortunately for me, the action is going this way. So having a little bit more green space over here than over here isn't an issue. Oh, this will be interesting. Back of it. Ones like this. Here, again, apart from you can pretty much guess what's level and straight just by eye, a good guidance is watching vertical lines like the join between these two bits of fence, which we make the assumption that they're straight. Tree trunks aren't always straight. And we know ground does slope, and I know this park does have a bit of a slope on it, but anything on the horizon from here is going to be a little bit off anyway, because I'm standing in the middle of the field. So therefore, over here is going to be relatively straight, but over here, perspective dictates that effectively this fence is getting further away from me. So therefore, what is considered level is a bit off. So with these guys, I'm going nice and tight, shift that a little bit. I think that looks best. Yep. And that is all those done. I'll add this one to the mix. He's throwing the ball in. I'll have a quick look to see what a square crop will look like. Yes, square crop works. What I want to do is get this other guy out of the picture because it doesn't benefit. Now, if I was shooting for a newspaper, what I'd do is I'd pull the bottom up a little bit, go back so I get his arm in, but I can crop this other guy out. But since I'm not shooting for a newspaper, I'll go for a slightly fuller image because I can get rid of that in Photoshop. There we go. Now, because of his skin color, his complexion's quite dark. I've used that's how the photograph originally looked. I've used the highlight slider. Don't want to go too far, but I've brought it across so it's not completely white. You can see some texture in the clouds. Now, this is where the masking comes in handy. Mask. And let it think. I will choose people. Well, there's only one person in it. It's going to give me a list of body parts, but in this case, I could probably be quite specific and choose that one, that one, that one, that one, all of these, but there's no real advantage. I'm just going to go for create mask over the whole of the person. What I am going to do is hit shadows. There's before, pull this up. That's too far. I could go to about there, drop black spec, which will affect the sleeves without affect. It does. Dropping the black stack does affect the skin, but it won't. It'll affect the sleeves because there they look a little bit grey. Well, there they look a little bit greyish, and will not. Yeah. Just pull them back just a little bit so that those sleeves look more the correct color. And that's that done. Now that I've gone through that batch there right up to him, and generally I pick an image that I can use as a bit of an up to. Otherwise, I might go into here, click on that image. I'll click on the next image along. It's not in this set, which you can tell where I'm up to anyway, but what I can do is in there, I can hit I think it's 6. Go up here, color label, red. That just tells me that I haven't pre-edited these ones yet. So as I go through them, and this will make sense in a minute, go to the first one. Now, I know what I'm about to do can be done in Lightroom. I can export them out as 2 different sizes. I can add my signature, but the problem with adding a signature in Lightroom for me is I don't want the signature too obvious. I want it adjusted according to the color behind it. So I'll be adjusting the blending and the opacity and potentially its positioning. And most of these, the default position for it is going to be fine. But when we get to this dude here, as you'll see later on, it'll position here when I will shift it to here. So Control E. Wait. Sends it through to Photoshop. I just do a quick scan around the outside to see if there's any bits and pieces that need to be removed specifically in Photoshop. Normally I would check that in Lightroom just to see if there's anything that Lightroom needs to do. But I would have done that on the first pass. In Photoshop, I just do a double check. Is there any bits of paper I need to remove or whatever? And I'm quite happy with that. So I've got some shortcuts set up here. Or some scripts, they call them. Wish they'd stick to this same naming. In Lightroom, they're called presets, and here they're called scripts or actions actually. So I've got an action for resizing, and I've got an action for resizing and adding the signature. Now, for a number of reasons, which I'm not going to go into, I like to keep a full-size JPEG of the image, and that's just in case I say want to put it in a competition, and I want a 16 by 20 version with no signature in it. I can go into the original, open it up, save it out at whatever size I want. Hey presto, it's done. It's highly unlikely I want to do adjustments to it, but I might want to. The club might want to use it in a information brochure, and for that they might want the full size version, or they might want it at a specific size. So I resize. In this case, it's resizing up. This action has been instructed to resize up to effectively the number of pixels wide my sensor is, but not sized down. So if this image was, a really weird size, But anyway, so that's full size. Control Shift S to bring up my save as, because I've changed the shortcut keys in Photoshop because of the change they made some time back. Full size. Oops, wrong one. JPEG. It's always this JPEG one here, not JPEG 2000. I always use this one here. It's a standard good old JPEG. Now, the reason I changed the shortcut keys because up here we used to have save and save as, and save as was always Shift Control S. But the current save as is just a very limited list of file options. They're very short. It's about 6 of them in total. Whereas save a copy lets you save it to the older JPEG version, to goodness knows whatever else you want. So the default shortcut keys are save as is Shift Control S, and save copy is the alt one. But because I'm so used to hitting Shift Control, I changed them around. So save as was Alt Shift S. And see, there's a short list. Save a copy as is what I use, and the list of options is a bit more broader. It's not overly relevant, I suppose, but yeah. Now my other action saves these to 1920, what I call 1920x and signed 1920 across the widest point. This is specifically for social media. And you'll notice you can't see my signature, which is actually down here, because the signature is actually a sort of a gray, mid-gray color, so that depending on what blending mode I use as to how well it shows up. And because it's evenly not visible, I can just go up here and change from normal down to linear, linear dodge, and it's done that. Now that's a little bit obvious, so I just drop the opacity down a little bit. Control Shift S again. And that's that one done. Now, the next thing I do is one that need to be in the library module. Here's my edited folder. So those JPEGs are sitting in that folder there. Of course, Lightroom can't see them because they were saved outside of Lightroom. This file is still in the Root Ethnic Festival folder. and it's in the collection. So from inside the collection, I can drag this to edited, drop it. It just moves the file's actual location, but it leaves it in the collection. So then I can just go and hit B, or this little circle up here. You see, it's a little grey circle. Hit that, and it's taken it out of the collection. And by doing this, the number of files visible in this little collection gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter until I've done the ones I want to do. Now, in some photo shoots or sports, these files might be scattered amongst a number of folders. Just take my Hockey Nationals, for instance. I might go through and pick 5 out of this one, 5 out of here, 5 out of here, 5 out of here, 5 out of here, so on down out of all these folders, and put them into a collection to edit, so that I don't end up spending ages just editing one day's activities. I get 5 from each, 5 from each, 5 from each, and then the next batch is another 5 and another 5, so on down. Otherwise, I'd end up spending the first couple of days just editing the first day of the juniors, and then so on like that. And then there'd be people crying out for the wondering what's happened to the photos taken at prize giving. Now, to speed things up, often I will do 2 of these at once. So I'll go click on one, control, hold down the control key, click on the other, right click, go up to edit, Adobe Photoshop, whatever. Wait, and wait, and wait, and wait. I'm not going to go and remove little bits like this against the tree. There's no benefit to it. Opens both those files up. I tend to do them in pairs so I can keep track of what I'm doing easily. Because my general procedure with these is resize, Control Shift S, name, file format, save, okay, resize and signature, quick glance to the left hand corner, needs adjustment. That'll be me. Control Shift S, Control Shift, crap, the arrow button. Name, file type, save, okay. Then I'll close that from Photoshop, and the next one is visible. Resize, name, generally when I'm working through a bunch of these, and I'm not talking about it as I do it, I can choose through quite a few of these quite fast. So I'll go through this whole batch, in case anyone does actually watch this. And that'll give you a bit of an idea of what my normal way of doing this would be. Done. Always minimize Photoshop, because if Photoshop's open fully up in the background, it doesn't bring it to the front when you send something to it. If you minimize it like that, drag these to edited, click on the first one, B, done. Because Photoshop is minimized, when I hit send to, edit in, it actually pops Photoshop up. But if Photoshop is not minimized, it doesn't bring it to the front. It used to, but I don't know whether it's a Windows thing or a Adobe thing or what the hell, but whatever. Right. By the way, that was Control-0 to make it fill up the entire space there. Just got rid of my name in the bottom corner. Okay, that's that one done. Now here's a good example of why I do my signature the way I do it. So full size version. Now because of the action doesn't work on percentages, my signature in this is going to be really tiny. So I just resize it. It's pretty much done by guesswork. I could put in an exact amount, but don't need to. Sometimes I don't resize it, but normally I do. It's still bloody raining outside. Minimize. I could select the whole lot and wait for them to load into Photoshop, but I prefer to just do them two at a time. It's easier to keep track of what I'm doing. Control-0. You can cycle through these once you've got that blending mode selected. You can cycle through them using the arrow keys. Gives you a chance to see what each of them looks like. Sometimes I choose one. If the background is a combination of dark and light, I'll sometimes choose a blending mode that adjusts for that. And that's something like difference or something like that. So there's all those different options. So wind. Double check there's nothing I want to take out of those. And as you can see just then, the number of photographs in my little collection is shrinking. It also makes it easier to sort of set, say, an hour's work or a day's work or whatever it is you're going to be doing by putting it into a collection like that. It doesn't then just strike you as being ridiculously large. Right. Looks like all, if not most, if not all of these will need the signature adjusted. If anyone was watching this, I'd say if you've got any questions, ask away. That signature is a little bit clearer. And this one, I could have got rid of this water bottle down here. Don't quite see the point in wasting my time with that, especially for this, you know. The idea is to try and give each of these images some sort of personal attention or individual attention while editing them as reasonably quickly as possible while still keeping that nice look to them, rather than having them look like they're batch processed or anything like that. And that's where the functionalities of both Lightroom and Photoshop, which keep getting better and better, come into it. Because the various pieces
courses I've just covered, the sing edits, using the previous button, etc., all to being able to process these a little bit faster. See, there's a bit of something out on that field. So I'll see what the field tool does. I'm on the wrong one. That's the one I wanted. Result. What settings have I got? Content aware, normal. Sticking on content, mate. I think I must have had that create texture for some reason when I should actually have it on content aware. See if that makes any difference. Yeah, that's better. That's what I wanted. I could look all around this image. See bits like that of turf flying up, that's fine. That little bit there, you could say, is a little bit distracting. And the thing with content aware is content aware now is so good that you can treat bits like that. And tidy up the odd bit of rubbish on the field or leaf. You know, for instance, if it's a football pitch and there's a random leaf blown onto the field and it's just in the wrong place at the wrong time, you can edit it out. You may not be able to do that if you're shooting for a newspaper or something like that. But if you're not doing that, it's not an issue. Now, the one thing that didn't occur to me with some live streaming software is it doesn't actually give me a time duration that I've been sharing for, unfortunately. It's a bit of a disappointment. It would be nice to know how long I've been sharing for. But yeah, never mind. No big deal. I'll just have to remember in future to start the timer on my phone just so I know how long I've been going for, in case I want to stop after a given number of minutes. Most of the time it's not relevant, but the other bit of software I tried out, which had limitations on it I wasn't enthusiastic about, it did tell you how long you'd been streaming for. It was quite handy to know once you got sort of once I've got to sort of an hour and a half or something, I go, oh yeah, I'll call it quits. Is all I can do is go by the fact that I technically started this more or less 1 o'clock. Don't think I was dead on time. So I've been going for about an hour now. So the timing works out because I will do this other one picture and then I shall end this. This is the one. This will be the last one I do. Probably. Well, it won't be the last one I'll do today. It's this one I'll share. Now, before I resize this, I do want to get rid of this here. So go to my select tool, and the way Content Aware works, I can go just a little bit past it like that. Because I could use the lasso tool, etc., but I just find it just as quick to use the shape tool, the square crop tool, select tool. What I do is hold down Alt, but gives me a minus symbol there. I'll just re-drag over a couple of bits of this to remove some of the unnecessary selection. Now, before you used to use Content Aware, which would bring up that. And you could choose, and obviously it does a really good job, and you could choose, I've clearly missed a bit at the top, but that's fine. You could clearly choose what you wanted, but I've found that when your background is relatively uniform and relatively plain, you can use the new delete and fill selection, which is faster because no buggering around. So I noticed I'd missed a bit. I can just go in, reselect that little bit there. There we go, done. Nothing else I need to take into account here. Oh, so resize, Control Shift S, arrow key, Control Shift S held down while I hit the arrow key to select the entire words rather than individual letters. Name. File type. And I'll be putting these up on Facebook soon. Now, see, this is a case where I don't really go to my move tool. Don't really want the signature here. What I'll do is just for convenience sake, I'll enlarge it a bit. I can shift it in that transform tool or click. Move it to about there. Works for me. Drop the opacity a little bit. Done. Drag it up here to edited. Now I'm up to that stopping point I'd set. So now that I'm finished, I'm up to there. I can go to set, right click, set color label, none. Ready to continue in a few minutes after I've stopped the live streaming. I'll carry on doing a few more.
See, Gary's got the live stream running in the background. So that's pretty much how I do the editing for these. Obviously, each of the sports is a little bit different. Yeah, and even inside the same sports, different events, different days can be a little bit different. It depends on what's happening. Oh, actually, when I have the camera up, it does actually show me the time in the camera, just not on the desktop when I'm sharing the desktop. Oh, yes, it does. Up there. Oh, okay. I didn't see that before. It's just in a different position. Right. But yeah, so that's how I do it. I'll probably do another live stream on Monday morning at about 9 o'clock, just to because I'm going to be here editing anyway, so I might as well live stream some more. And it'll either be more soccer. I might do something different, like some of the pink walk or some of the hockey photographs I've got, for just a bit of a change. So yeah. So anyway, I shall catch you next time.